Welcome, everyone, and welcome to this edition of What Matters. So, I'm your host, Erica Elita, and today we have a bit of surprise because I am your guest. We had a little technical difficulty, and the guest I had scheduled today was not able to make it. And as I was telling Anisha as I walked in the door, I have a file at home that says backup show, and I've been putting together some ideas and some pictures and so forth to send to Anisha in case this happened, and it's happened, and I haven't sent her the file. So what we're doing today is an AMA, Ask Me Anything. Now, if you follow me on Facebook, you'll see on my post, I did put a little bit of a disclaimer that said, ask me anything, I may not answer everything. So you're welcome to ask anything that you want. As you, oh, wrong hand, still not good at it yet. As you see, the call number is right there. You can also send messages. Anisha will read them to me. I have my phone. I thank you for the people who've already sent me a few questions. I find it hilarious that you guys keep asking me dating questions. I just started dating. I have no clue what's going on, but I'm very happy to give you my opinion. So today we're going to do an Ask Erica Anything. I'm your host, Erica Elita, and I was actually planning to make the last episode of this year a show just with me, and I was going to introduce myself because since we started in June, it was really a hit the ground running kind of thing. I've had a guest every week, well, except for this week. So my plan was the last show of the year, I was going to kind of do a summary of the show and introduce myself 6 months later, tell you a little bit about myself, and then we would start 2019 fresh. But today, I will tell you a bit about myself. I have so many topics that I'm interested in, but as I had promised online, on social media, that I would answer the questions that you have. So as I said, you're welcome to call in, you're welcome to type on Facebook. I think, can they also send questions on YouTube, Anisha? On YouTube as well. Don't text me though, but I do have my phone here with me so I can answer your questions. So yes, and you can call in. So as you see, if you're listening, now I know some of you do just listen, and thank you so much for that. And if you are listening, the number is 647-931-4701. So you can always call in and we will take your calls. So today's show was about millennials, mental health, launching brands, and a bit about my guest's journey and what was coming up next. So one of the things that I am going to touch on today that, kind of falls really in my area of interest is exactly that. It's social media. And I think today how it's going to go, unless you guys really start bombarding me with questions. As I said, I've gotten a lot of dating questions, which is really funny. Most of them are opinions. But if you're trying to do any kind of how-to, I'm not the one, okay? I am figuring it out. And I can tell you that online dating isn't for me. Like, I'm apparently far too old school. It isn't for me. But I can tell you a bit about my experiences and so forth. So for me, in terms of social media, I've been on Facebook for 11 years, and Facebook now has Facebook Memories, so it's very good at reminding you exactly how long you've been on. Not a heavy IG user, definitely picking up, and mild LinkedIn. And quite honestly, in terms of dating, and I'm going to answer one or two of the questions, I'm finding that online dating platforms, they don't work for me. And one of the reasons why is it's the method. It's specifically for that purpose, so people are obviously on there for that purpose. But what happens is I think a lot of people that in real life situations would get an opportunity don't on those platforms. And I'll explain that a little bit better. I've been in Toronto for 2 years now. About a few months ago, a little under a year, I folded into the pressure that my aunt was giving me to start dating, to start looking. And I did try an online platform, and what I realized was that a lot of the men that were there that, and it's very visual too, right? Because you have to have up a picture, and if you don't have a picture, you look suspicious, and there's this whole thing, right? Because honestly, if you don't have a picture, even on Facebook, it's bells and whistles for me. So you go on, you see a picture, and the person isn't, to your liking. But what I realized is that there are men that I know in real life, and if someone were to say, hey, I know this really great guy named Bob, You know, here he is, this is Bob, would you go out with him? More often than not, based on personality, mannerisms, humor, so forth, the answer would be yes. But if you just showed me a picture of that person, I'd probably say no. So pictures don't denote so many things. Pictures don't give you so many things. So that's why for me, online dating in terms of the platforms for it hasn't worked. But someplace that has been interesting, and I can be a little bit stalkerish, is Facebook. I like it because there's a lot of history that can go behind it. Now, like with anything, anyone can fake it. I mean, if you are a dedicated catfisher, I guess, if is that the person doing it, you will build profiles that aren't real and fake, and add in all the history. But in general, that's not what happens. And what I like about a platform like Facebook or Instagram is the person tends to put up a lot of their interests and thoughts and share things that interest them. So you kind of get a feel for them. Also, too, old pictures they'll share. So even if they've kind of, turned up the persona recently, you can kind of get a feeling of who they are from those pictures in the past. So that's what, those are kind of the places that I like. And then obviously through introduction. So, oh boy, here's a really great, interesting one. So for me, as I said, I found it interesting that the first 3 or 4 questions that I got were about dating. And I'm no expert, but I am very opinionated. So I'm happy to give you my opinion. So here's a great one. When it comes to first meetings, what are the things that women look for in a man that merits a second date? That's a good one. I think that's a very good one. Now I can't speak for all women, right? Because there's so many of us, and we all have vastly different opinions. But I know for myself, as I said, I'm really old school. Mannerisms count for a lot. Manners go really, really far. Humor goes really, really far. But that being mannerful in terms of, and I'm not just talking about opening up doors and pulling out chairs and so forth, but how you speak to the waitress or the waiter, it speaks volumes about yourself. How considerate you are of the people around you in that space, that speaks volumes of you. Also to your appearance, how you dress. They say dressing well is, how's that phrase go? Dressing well is good manners, or is a polite form of interaction. And it is very true. How you groom yourself, it speaks volumes. It doesn't necessarily need to be fancy or brand name, but when you present yourself thoughtfully, clean nails, groomed hair, groomed beard, pressed clothes, it speaks volumes. So for me, I would say yes, absolutely, physical appearance does really matter, especially on a first encounter, and your manners. That is so important as well. So that is my answer for that question. Thank you, Steve, for that question. I hope that I've answered it correctly. If I didn't, you can type in. If I'm able to uphold, yes, absolutely. Okay, guys, let me back up here a minute. Do you see that thing where you get into somebody's DM in their messenger and you say hello, hi, hello, hi, beautiful, hello, hi, how are you, hello? And this solo monologue has been going on for months. She doesn't want to talk to you, and you should stop. It fascinates me. Sometimes I don't block them just because I want to see how long they'll say hello to themselves. And I have guys in my DM that have been telling me hello for 6 months, and I've never answered. So, and that to me also speaks of this fisherman mentality where you cast a really, really big net, and whatever falls into it, you take it. That's how I feel when I see a man going, hello, hi, hello. Carry a conversation, ask a question, make a comment. Behave like you read all of the information that I've put forward for you to, it's so easy. When you encounter someone on social media, they've basically given you all the ammo you could need. So why would you write me and say, do you have kids? Did you not just see me post my son's 9th birthday? You're not paying attention. So yes, being able to carry conversation is super important to me. And I think a lot of women would say the same. So thank you, Steve, for that question. I really, really do appreciate it. And I'll get in one more dating question right before the first break. This one. Do you believe in self-improvement before entering the dating scene. When I had jumped into the dating scene, somebody had posed a question and they said, would you date someone who was unemployed? And my response was, what are you doing dating if you're unemployed? And some people didn't like the answer. They said, well, you could be looking for companionship and da 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 da. But in my opinion, if you're an adult who is unemployed and you're not a trust fund baby and you're not independently wealthy, your very first priority should be finding a job, not finding a girlfriend or a boyfriend. So yes, self-improvement, self-maintenance is essential because we cannot ask for what we're not. You cannot go out having this long list of you got to have a degree, you got to have good credit, you need a car, you got to have a house, and you don't have any of those things. So by being your best self and presenting your best self, you're going to attract your best mate. So if you know there's a lot of work that you need to be done with yourself, do not go out and look for a mate to help you fix it. A good couple is not two great halves, it's two whole people that get together and make a whole. So self-improvement is essential all the time for everyone always, but if you know you're lacking in many areas and you have a lot of baggages sticking out of your bags that needs to be folded and reassessed and tucked in, fix yourself and then jump in the dating pool, because trust me, there's lots of garbage in there. When we come back from the break, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about mental health, chronic diseases, and answer some more of your questions.
Are you retiring smart? Make your home's equity work for you. With your home's equity and our 30 years of experience, the Retire Smart Properties team can help you achieve the quality of life you've always wanted. Our services are 360 degrees. We'll give you advice, take care of staging and selling, and help you find the perfect home and community to transition to. It's time to enjoy the retirement lifestyle you deserve. Visit our website today to learn how you can use your home to retire comfortably. The Retire Smart Properties team, powered by RE/MAX West.
And we're back. So I'm here today solo, a little bit impromptu, wasn't planned, but we are working it. Talking is my passion, so we're going to get through this. So if you have any questions, the number is up there, 647-931, help me out, 4701. My eyesight's not as good as I'd love it to be. And I said before the break that when we came back, I would talk a bit about mental illness and chronic diseases, which I will, because I am actually a sufferer of one, and I'm going to tell you a bit about it. But there's a question here from a lady that I adore, and I really love her question, so I am going to address it and then answer another one, and that's going to lead us into the next segment where I will touch on that chronic illness. So from Danielle Smith. Now let me tell you a little bit about Danielle. Danielle, I actually met her last year, and I only knew her through social media. This powerhouse young lady, this absolutely powerhouse, completely dedicated to her craft, what she does, really positive, uplifting message, and I'm very much attracted to people like that. And, throughout the year, I've followed her on social media. She's followed me as well. And then I got to meet her in person at an event. And sometimes what you see online, it just as about meeting people, TV stars, they say don't meet your heroes. But sometimes what you see online doesn't match with the person. And I'm always delighted when I meet someone and they are even more than they presented themselves to be, for social media. And Danielle is definitely one of these people. So if you're out there listening, hun, so much props. Keep doing what you're doing. Be blessed, because I really, really admire all that you do. So Danielle asked me, what is the most fulfilling part of the work that I do? Now, I have a regular day job, but that's not my passion. My passion is where I am right now, sitting here doing what I'm doing. And to answer Danielle's question, the most fulfilling part of doing what I'm doing right now is being able to present uplifting stories to people that may need them. Every time you speak, every time you share your story, there's someone out there that needs to hear what you have to say. And so being blessed to have a platform in which I can present all of the wonderful people that I encounter or introduce to me or that I meet, and having them share their tremendous stories. And since I've been on in June, just the people that have been on, I have been so humbled, so humbled, and the things that they shared and all that I've learned. So for me, the best part of what I do is sharing knowledge and sharing information and growing together. And you know, as corny as it may sound, in trying to figure out my purpose and trying to figure out my quest. Hi, see, this is one of the amazing people that has been on my show, and I was just thinking about you, Carolee. Is in sharing all of this and in this journey that I've gone on, I feel so blessed to be able to give anything back to the community that gives so much to me. All of this personal development, I learned this all online. I latched onto a few people like McKinney Smith and Cheryl Lee, and in the direct marketing company I was in, and through that I met so many more. So my greatest gift and my desire has always been, I've wanted to help, and I never could articulate it better than I want to help. And I feel that this platform that I've been given is that tool to help others. So the most fulfilling part of what I do, Danielle, is feeling like I'm helping someone somewhere. So that is the answer to that. And then I have another great question from another dear friend, Kevin Martin. He's watching all the way from the great old USA. And he asks, what is your favorite method of keeping your balance? And I'm a Libra, so that's really interesting. Between all the things you have going on in your life. Kevin, that's a great question, and the answer is I do not feel like I keep balance. It's really, really hard. I get a lot of ideas, I latch on to them, I'm often running in different directions, and so one of the things that I do is write things down, vision boards, checking in with my rocks, the people in my life who are really anchor people, who when I'm running off in different directions, they will tell me, either keep running, you're going towards something, or sit down and gather yourself. So it's maintaining a network, writing things down. That's helped me a lot. Vision boards and affirmations. That really is what helps balance me, because as I say those things out loud, they either ring true or ring false. And I'm always affirming what I want to be my truth. And so when you're saying something and it doesn't feel right inside of here, there's something to be working on. And writing things down also allows you to reflect on what you wrote yesterday and what you wrote a week ago and what you wrote a month ago. And so, for example, McKinney Smith was a guest on the show a few weeks ago, and I have her journal. It's a gratitude journal. And every day you write down what you're grateful for and what you were distracted by and so forth. And you start to see a pattern. And if you see that you're constantly wasting your time doing this certain thing, then it's time to look at a way to eliminate it. If you see that there's this consistent gratefulness for something, then maybe you need to reaffirm that thing and put more energy into that thing because you're so grateful for it. So definitely those things. So that is kind of how I try to keep my balance, and I'm getting better at it all the time. But it's affirmations, writing things down, my circle, my very tight circle, and my vision board. And so before I go to any other questions, that's something that I wanted to speak to you guys about. And I guess I'll use this opportunity because I was going to do a Facebook Live about this. And it's vision boards. Now, if you go on Facebook and you type in Erica Edwards vision board, you'll see a couple of posts. I've already done videos on it. And what I've discovered, I really want to share with you because I discover things and I share them. That's my way. Is I now have a floating vision board or a moving vision board. And what I used to do was take all the different images that I would Google them. I don't even know where you get magazines anymore, okay? So I Google them, I print them out, laminate them, and I put them in a frame. And a few years back, what happened is right at the end of the year, my frame with my vision board fell off the wall. I thought it was very symbolic because it fell off. The glass didn't break, but the glass fell out. All the little papers came out, and I said, "Oh, this is the universe's way of telling me to, you know, to fix up my vision board." And what I did is, instead of putting in a frame, I just used, you know, that sticky tack. It looks like gum, and I laminated them and put them up on my wall in my bathroom. I put them this time because I'm in there a lot. And what I did, because they were all separate, every time I would accomplish a goal, I would take it off of one wall and put it somewhere else. So it now became a vision board and a completion board. And I really like this concept because it's a living, moving thing. And you could add on, you can take off. I mean, it's a really wonderful feeling when you look at your vision board and a lot of the things that you had envisioned are completed or are in progress. So you can now take that and move that over to the other side and even fill that space in with your next project or your next goal for yourself personally. And with vision boards, you know, a lot of people get the idea, they think, okay, I'm going to put up the picture of the house I want and the car that I want and the Louboutins that I want. It could be a peaceful picture of something that represents a state of mind you would like to have, or the way you would like your relationship to function, or a personal state of being. It's not all about things. It's not all about physical things, because no matter what we have physically, if mentally we're not prepared and accepting of it, it won't matter. So if you're not happy in a small place, you won't be happy in a bigger place. If you're not happy with your putt-putt, you're not going to be happy with your Audi. And I know there are people out there saying, yes, I picked an Audi because I like those cars, but I know there are people out there saying, no, I'd be so happy once I have a... Believe me, the happiness comes from inside. Things don't make you happy. Happiness needs to be your state of mind in order for you to appreciate the things that you have. Because if you really look at it, how many people do you know have a lot or more than you do, you know, comparison-wise, or seem to have a lot compared to other people, and they're not happy people? Just as I've met people who have very, very little and are very willing to share it and seem to live in joy. So happiness is really something that exists inside of your mind. It's an inside job. Happiness is definitely an inside job. Yes, definitely. You know, that vision board, you don't have to do it all at once. And that's another thing I like about the moving vision board is you will see a picture and it will capture your mind, or words, even worthy, whatever it is. Print it out and put it up there. If it isn't a magazine, cut it out, put it up there. It doesn't need to happen all at once. Sometimes we make these really grandiose plans to make things happen instead of just trying to do it one step at a time. So if anybody out there wants more information, or if you want to see some pictures of mine, I'm very, very happy to share. Drop me a line and I'd be willing to share. So now this time when we come back, I will touch on chronic illness and a bit of mental health and search through some more of your questions. We'll be back after this break.
Inside my house, what the fuck, dog, we couldn't move nothing, I lost everything up. Balls, I get to take off that in just a few please.
Welcome back to the Impromptu Solo Erica episode. And so today, my guest was unable to make it, and I've decided to take this opportunity to speak to you, tell you a bit about my opinions, answer your questions. Today was an AMA. I got a few questions, but I also obviously have some things that I want to say. So before the break, I said that I would touch on a bit about chronic illnesses and mental health, which go hand in hand. Now, a few years ago, so my son is 9, so 8 years ago, it's been 8 years now, I was diagnosed with a disease called sarcoidosis. And initially, I was misdiagnosed with cancer. Now, sarcoidosis presents as cancer often. Usually when it's first found or discovered, the doctors believe that you have cancer. Now, luckily for me, that was not the case. The first few flare-ups were very bad, but it was not the case. It was a misdiagnosis. And that was figured out a day before I started chemo. Now, what is sarcoidosis? Sarcoidosis is an inflammatory disease. It's an immune disease. And what happens is your body fights itself. So it recognizes your own cells as something bad and it goes to fight them. So what happens is granulomas, those are little lumps, they form in different parts of your body. So it can be your lungs, your lymph nodes, your liver, your eyes. It depends. It really can flare up in different areas at different times. Now, when I was first diagnosed, it was in my lymph nodes and in my lungs. So when I got scanned, it showed on the scan that I had what they thought were tumors all throughout my body. But as I said, I was very fortunate, and that was not the case. Now, what happened after I was diagnosed was obviously they gave me medication. And unfortunately, the medication made the situation worse in a lot of ways. So there were things that it helped, but it presented me with other problems. I stayed on the medication for about 2 years and realized that I really couldn't stay on it. It was making me feel very unwell, but not just physically, also mentally. And the drug is called prednisone. And prednisone produces a lot of side effects. And one of it is a change in your emotions and how you react to things. And what happened with me is I became very angry. But I could tell that there was a change, and I really didn't like it. So I decided that I was going to wean myself off of prednisone. I did get my doctor's help, and I am not recommending that anyone come off of any medication that they are prescribed without the proper guidance and alternative plan. And what I found is that, as they say, let food be thy medicine and let medicine be thy food. And that is exactly what I did, and it helped me quite a bit. I cut out inflammatory foods, and I've had it under relative control. I do have a flare-up about once a year, and what is a flare-up for me? A flare-up for me is extreme fatigue, pain, inflammation, a bit of, pain in my joints and so forth. I do have friends, however, who have it much worse, who have had to have lung transplants, and a few people in my sarcoidosis groups that have passed away. So one of the things when I finally realized what I did have was I didn't want to be the sarcoid spokesperson. I didn't want to be like the poster girl. I really, really didn't. This isn't something I wanted to speak about. This isn't something that I wanted to let people know that I had. I didn't want anybody having ideas about me or preconceived notions. So not denial, but definitely not speaking about it. And what I realized, especially within the groups, and then as more and more of the people that I knew around me became sick with different things, MS, lupus, cancer, so many other people became sick, and a lot of people lived in shame. A lot of people were ashamed of it. And if you are of an older generation, you'll remember a time where when people said you had cancer, they whispered it. They have cancer. It was like an embarrassment. People would treat it like, almost like you did something wrong. And I feel that over the years it's become so common that it's no longer whispered, but there are other things that we treat the same way. And I completely understand from the point of view of the person who may have the disease not wanting to talk about it or be identified by it. But something that I've learned, especially in the last year, is as much as labels can harm, labels can also help. When you know what you have, when you know what you are, when you know what categories you fall under, when you have an idea of what to expect, it can be helpful. Labels also have their negative side in that they can be restricting and make people, assume certain things about you. But I think knowing where you fall in certain things is really, really important. And today, my attitude towards being that spokesperson or that poster girl has changed dramatically because I realize how much people need a voice. They need a voice that is confident. They need a voice that sometimes shakes, but will speak and will champion for them. And as I've gone through this journey, because it's been a tremendous learning process, it's taught me to respect my body more. It's taught me how to learn to slow down, because they say if you don't slow down when you should, your body will make you sit down. And oftentimes not for a short amount of time, for a long amount of time. And what I've learned with having this disease and it being something chronic that reoccurs is even more appreciation for the things that I have. I've always been appreciative, but getting out of bed with no pain is a tremendous thing. And many of you out there have that every day, but I don't think that you stop to realize how tremendous it is to be able to turn and pivot and just get off of your bed. Just like when you are thirsty and you go to the nearest tap or water cooler or even pull a water bottle out of your fridge, that is not an action that everyone can take, that when they're thirsty or hungry or in need of something to be able to go get it. So it has amplified my gratitude. And how it ties into mental health is that it obviously deeply affects how you perceive yourself. And there's a lot of depression that will go with it. I know that during my flare-ups, I do get very, very sad because it's so limiting. There's so little that you can actually physically do. But even in that, in speaking more and more about mental health, and not just mental health connected to chronic diseases, but mental health in general, and especially mental health within my own community, the Caribbean community, this is a topic that's coming up more and more people are speaking to it. I follow several people who really champion this. One of them is my friend Karen Carrington. She's a huge spokesperson for mental health, suffering from anxiety herself. I have friends that have now, admitted publicly they're bipolar or they're manic depressive. And what this does for anybody out there that's suffering from any mental health condition, it frees you. Admitting it, owning it, it frees you. The people who will condemn you would have condemned you whether you said it or not. It actually opens the door for people who will understand and accept and adapt with you. So if you have any problems, or even within your family, that's another thing. Sometimes we recognize something is wrong with someone else, that something isn't, I hate to say something is wrong, but something isn't right. Same thing, but, and we ignore it. We sweep it under the rug. You call them, crazy Uncle Joe, or, that cousin that's not quite right. If we get the help that we need when we need it, the outcome can change dramatically. And that's why I'm, again, as Daniel had asked, I'm so blessed to have this platform, is because it allows me to address the topics that were once taboo or still are taboo. Like if you got to see the show last week, we spoke about vaginas for like a whole hour. That's what we spoke about. And for those of you who didn't know, my son was in the room for that particular show. And I got a lot of comments after, and I've, been posting more about it. But that breaking of the taboo when it comes to your health, your mental health, your emotional state, it changes the dynamic, it changes the conversation, and it changes the perception. So even though a lot of us don't want to be the spokesperson for whatever is wrong with us, the amount of help you can give to others by speaking the truth and speaking your piece is tremendous. So when we come back from this break, I'm going to check for some more questions, see what else is out there. If there's anything else that you want to know, if you want to ask me or tell me, give me a call. The number's right there. Haha, got it kind of right. And we'll be back right after this break.
Are you retiring smart? Make your home's equity work for you. With your home's equity and our 30 years of experience, the Retire Smart Properties team can help you achieve the quality of life you've always wanted. Our services are 360 degrees. We'll give you advice, take care of staging and selling, and help you find the perfect home and community to transition to. It's time to enjoy the retirement lifestyle you deserve. Visit our website today to learn how you can use your home to retire comfortably. The Retire Smart Properties team, powered by RE/MAX West.
And welcome back to the last segment of the Impromptu Solo Erica Show. If today, when things happen, we have to take, we often, or my mindset used to be, why is this happening to me? Why is this going wrong? But now I try to look at what the lesson possibly could be. And there are many, many lessons in today for me. And one of them is if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. So if I had sent my backup show in, I would have had it for today. But the lesson is learned. The other thing is that there a lot of times when we are disappointed in life, it's actually a blessing in disguise. So I'm actually quite happy that I was able to take a moment and speak with you and tell you a little bit about the things that are important to me. And a friend just actually sent another question. I have a few more, and I really, really love this question. Hold on, I will read it as is. What drives you to inspire? I really like that question. One, because it's recognized that I'm actually trying to inspire, to motivate, to whatever word you want to use, to be a positive force in this world. A lot of us have, we have access to this tremendous platform. I'm super old school, okay? Notice I said old school, not old. And I remember when there was no Facebook, when there was no social media, when to advertise something you had to print it on a piece of paper and staple it to different, poles outside or pass out the flyers at a college. And now we have this platforms that connect us to thousands of people, millions if we so choose. And what do you want to do with that space? What do you want to do with that space? And I would like to inspire someone. I would like to help motivate someone. I would like to let somebody know that it is possible. And what drives me to inspire is that saying, be what you needed. And when I was a young girl in college and very, very lost and had no clue what I wanted to do, I knew I wanted to be there. I knew I wanted to learn. But I was interested in so many things, I had no idea what I wanted to do. And what I desperately craved was a mentor. I wanted someone to tell me what to do, to look at me objectively and say, these are your talents. I know more than you. I understand the world. Let me help you navigate it. And even though I'm not trying to tell anyone what to do, I would like to help with the guidance, and I would like to help organize the guidance. So what drives me to inspire is I genuinely want to help other people, and I want to fill that gap that I think a lot of, not just young people, but older people feel as well. I was a very young mother. I had my first child when I was 16. I actually took her with me to college. She went to college before she went to kindergarten. And one of the things that I really wish I had was that example in front of me showing me this could be done. Now today there are so many women that will, that you see that are single moms or young moms that are doing it, but I did not have that example. I just believed in my mind that I could. The other reason that I would like to inspire, and I'm inspired and driven to inspire other people, is because what I realized as an adult, especially, I mean, I'm a woman, obviously, is how lonely so many grown-ups are. And I'm not talking romantically. I'm not talking about relationship-wise. There are a lot of very lonely married people or people who are couples, and I'm talking for friendship. So many people lack that connection. When we're young, we make friends in school, we make friends, at our religious institutions, at the playground, and it's very easy. When we were young, we used to just walk up to people and say, hi, let's be friends. Like, do you remember doing that on the playground? Literally saying to somebody, let's be friends, or not even doing that, just playing with them and it becoming a regular thing. As you become an adult, it becomes harder, and the friends you made as a child, they fall away, you grow apart, they move away, life paths change. And as I started exploring social media more and more, what I found were there were a lot of people who were really looking for authentic, real interaction. Now, can you really interact on an authentic level with hundreds of people at a time? I believe that you can if you're being authentic yourself. And that's why I don't use filters. And sometimes you hear me yelling at my kids in the background, because I try to be as authentic and real as possible. What you see is what you get. Obviously, I come and I present myself in the nicest fashion that I can, but really what you're seeing is truly me. And I feel that by sharing that, especially in a world of so many contrived and made up and fixed things, that it resonates with people and you touch people. So in all of these years of navigating social media and being in direct marketing and networking, I used to look at networking as this dirty word. Like, all I thought of was people in suits in a room being fake, passing out business cards. That was my idea of networking in the past. And over the years, I found that is so far from the truth, because what you emit, you will attract. And if you go out into the world as your authentic self and presenting people with your best self, the goodness in you, that's often what you would see. And sometimes I have to remind myself, Erica, not everybody's good, not everybody's kind, but it seems that overwhelmingly, that is what I encounter, and that's who I meet, are very kind, willing people that have great ideas and are forward thinking and are helping their communities. The amount of young people, young men and women that I've met that volunteer, that give back. And I feel that one of the reasons I'm encountering them is because that's what I'm looking for. And I made a post, I think it was this morning, that says, you see what you look at. And I meant that in a really literal sense. Whatever you look at, that's what you see. And so if you look at the positive in things, that's what you're going to see. If you look at the hopeful things, that's what you're going to see. If you look for the lesson in negative things, that's what you'll see. There is a future guest, Ms. Joan Wright Good. I cannot wait to have you on. I will see you next year. One of the great networking events that I went to. And I'm trying not to be distracted, but you can see it on my face. When you encounter people that are so positive and so uplifting, and one of the reasons that Joan is so uplifting and positive, Joan shared her dirty laundry with us. The worst, lowest, most horrible, embarrassing times in her life. And why does she share that? Not for pity, not to, impress people with how much she had gone through, but to show that, you know what? You can go through hell and come out on the other side a better person. And that's why I'm inspired to help and to inspire is because thank you. Oh, that's so sweet. Um, is to inspire other people and to help. That I know I say it all the time, but honestly, if somebody says, "What is your purpose?" My purpose is to help. So we've run out of time. I'm really surprised because once again, it has gone fast. Even though I really had to wing it today, I thank you. If you listened, if you watched, if you stayed with me today, I thank you. I promise you my next solo show will be a lot more structured because I have a lot of things to show you. Anisha, thank you for helping me navigate this. As Anisha told me that this happens when you do live TV, you just you just better be ready. So the phrase today, the learning of today is if you are ready, you never have to get ready. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. I will see you next Tuesday. And if I'm alone, I promise you it'll be even more entertaining. Have a good one.